Mariners prospects look amazing in the second week of spring training. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the weekly episode of the Seattle Baseline Podcast. My name is Julian Smith, and I'm with Alex Hong. Alex, how do you feel so far? Because I feel like the pitching, the batting, everything is going well. Obviously, there's improvements. Like batting averages don't look as high, but it seems like the walks, the takes, everything just slowly building up to for each of these players.
Yeah, and it's important to remember that most of these players were all not playing baseball for the last like 3 months, right? Or not like actually playing, right? So, it takes some time to build up, right? If you took like a long break from your sport, and even if you were like still training, it's not the same in this case as actually playing the game, right? So it's hard to get back into it, but I think some of these players they've been getting back into it a lot faster than I've expected, which is good to see, you know.
Yeah, because for example, look at on the pitching side, you have I do want to mention first before I say what I was about to say, I do want to mention that Bryce Miller has some left oblique soreness, which I'm not sure what degree that is. It seems like the same thing that Jorge Polanco had to start the year last year, where he couldn't bat from the right side because he had right side soreness. And if it's the case with Miller, it it seems like it would be a tough thing to manage because with a pitcher you have to throw numerous times, and if you can't turn through, I don't know how much you're going to be able to throw.
Yeah, and I mean, it really sucks because, like, let's think, I mean, from an injury standpoint, right? Like, where he has like a soreness, might not seem too bad. Like, if I had his soreness, right, I would, it would not affect my life that negatively. But the problem is for him, his job is essentially to throw the ball like 90 plus miles per hour, right? And the problem is that if like I'm going through the motion and I feel a little bit of soreness, that's going to impact my throwing. And with pitching, there's so much room for error that stuff like that can make a big lasting impact on the actual result, right? So it's just really unfortunate that that happened. We don't exactly know the timeline. I know he's not going to be pitching for the next like week or so, which is probably a good thing in that case, but we don't know how long it's going to last or if it's going to linger or affect him throughout the season, right? And he might still be able to pitch right in the season, at the start of the season, but he might be, a little might be negatively impacting him, right? So he might not be at his 100%, which is really unfortunate because, Bryce Miller was out for most of last year or ineffective, let's say, for most of last year because of these injuries. So it sucks that it happened to him once again.
And it seems like it's not the same injury, but at the same time, we saw what happened when you have a not 100% Bryce Miller pitching for you at the start of the season. He was horrible. It was like he had lost his will on the fastball, no ride. His pitches looked like minor league pitches for half of last year before he went to the injury list. And the real question here is does that happen this year? And if so, do we bring up someone like Emerson Hancock instead of Bryce Miller to start the year, and maybe he gets back into form? Jorge Polanco did. The oblique injury shouldn't take too long because I mean, going off of last year with Jorge, he came back. He was batting both sides, I think 2 months at the most into the season. And so with Bryce, I think the same timeline um, is in effect. I don't think that he's going to spend that much time, and in that case, maybe it might be nice to bring up another pitcher like a Emerson Hancock or maybe a Kade Anderson, who we're going to talk about later because he played exceptional in his first inning.
Yeah, and I believe Sam Darnold, like during the playoffs, he was playing through an oblique, and it didn't seem to impact him at all. Now, that's a little different because throwing a football is a lot different than throwing a baseball, right? But I feel like in terms of like lingeringness, I feel like it shouldn't linger on too long. I mean, maybe his is a little more severe, but even in that case, I think, it could be affecting him for like maybe a month or so, which wouldn't be too bad because that would just be at the very, very start of the season. So I think that's something the Mariners can live with. If it's a lot worse than that, then we're gonna have to have a real plan for his replacement, right? Like the few guys you've mentioned, right? Most likely would be Emerson Hancock, who does have starting pitching experience in the past, so that wouldn't be too bad if that was the case. But if it is a longer lasting one, that could be problematic. But I think Miller will be fine. I'm not too worried. It's not like he came up with like an elbow soreness. That would be, that could be really bad. But it's not something, this isn't something I'm that concerned about.
Yeah, and especially because we have replacements that are coming up in the minor leagues, especially Emerson Hancock. He didn't look very good in spring training, but that's only one game. And I'd like to see him in the next few games, see how he fares. Because last year, there was a time when Emerson Hancock was one of the better pitchers on the team. It was Bryce, or not Bryce, Brian Wu and Emerson Hancock were carrying this team I think it was around mid May to like June, maybe even late June. He was carrying that team. And so we know he has it in him. Emerson Hancock does have that ability in him. I'd like to see it happen in spring training to be sure of it. And I want to see how Kade Anderson does alongside to see who should really take over that bench number 6 spot for the Mariners. And maybe if Kade Anderson's more fit, then Emerson Hancock goes to the bullpen and he plays there.
Yeah. Next guy I want to talk about would be Luis Castillo. So last year, Luis Castillo, he's a guy who's been getting older, right? His velocity has been going down. And last year he couldn't even average, I think, 94 miles per hour on his fastball in the spring training. Now, obviously in the regular season it was a little faster than that, but right now, Luis Castillo is averaging around 95 miles per hour on his fastball in spring training, and it just started. So that's actually really good to see. And that's something I think could be very important to Luis Castillo is if his fastball velocity is able to go up from last year, which usually does not happen. Usually, a player who gets older, their velocity goes down, not down and then up. So this is a little unusual situation, but maybe Castillo, I don't know, maybe he had some better conditioning this offseason, and then now he can throw a little harder throughout the regular season. That would actually be really important because that could really boost his game.
Yeah. And I thought that was interesting too, because Castillo is known to have a lower velocity in spring training and build up to it. Even during the regular season, he'll start the first start of the regular season not pitching as fast. And then during his peak, when he was with the Reds and then he was traded to the Mariners in 22, he was he had the 100 mile per hour fastball in the playoffs after the regular season. He didn't have that during the regular season. He was building up to that. And so for him to start building off of 95 instead of going to 90 miles an hour. I remember last year he started around 89 to 90 miles an hour, the fastball, the first game of spring training. And to see him go 95 now is a pretty big deal because that means, well, does that mean he goes to 97 during the regular season? Because if so, that's a really big deal. He was he was already playing decently with 95, but with 97 he can get swings and misses. And that's the big difference. If he can get more swings and misses and maybe his movement on his fastball and his changeup go up and his slider go up, then all of a sudden we have a totally different Luis Castillo, somebody who can be an ace for the Mariners. I guess Brian Wu and Logan Gilbert are the first candidates for the ace. You have basically 5 really good pitchers, but Castillo could be one of the contributors in the team. He could build up his innings count as well. And I'm excited to see Castillo and how he evolves this year.
Yeah, and it wouldn't really be an evolution, or it could be an evolution, but I think as a lot of these pitchers get older, a lot of their styles have to change, right? Like I'm thinking of an example like Justin Verlander when he was in his prime, he'd be throwing like 100 something miles per hour. But obviously, he can't do that anymore. So he had to change his style because he got older. He can't throw as hard. Another example would be like Clayton Kershaw. Kershaw was not throwing fast at all at the end, right? And his effectiveness did go down from his prime, but he managed to make things work to still be a pitcher who did start for the Dodgers, who had an incredible, starting line, our starting pitching staff, right? So yeah, it's just something that older players have to do. And then maybe Castillo, he didn't, maybe last year, he didn't even play that bad last year, but he had his on and off moments like he usually does. But maybe now he's like, okay, I'm getting older. I have to do these adjustments to change. And, it happens a lot for these pitchers. So it's good to see Castillo getting back. And maybe he'll have even a better season than he already did last year.
And I want to make this one last point about Castillo before we move on is that Castillo, with the way that he pitched last year, his velocity, his movement, everything, he has to be on the edge of the zone. He can't be in the somewhere in the middle of the zone like he used to. I think that's the adaptability you were mentioning just now, is that we have to, or Castillo needs to be able to get swings and misses because all of his outs last year, or not all of them, but a lot of his outs were because of hard hit balls that were caught by outfielders and infielders. That that's not sustainable. He had a few games where clearly the batters were getting the best of him. And so if he can ramp his fastball up and maybe get a little bit more of that movement back, and he can adapt into more of this edge of the zone, kind of the thing that Aroldis Chapman did last year. If he can do that, Luis Castillo can still live in the Major League Baseball world with the type of play that he has now.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Another guy we should talk about is the guy you mentioned a little earlier, and that is Kate Anderson, right? And obviously, just for context, Kate Anderson didn't pitch in the minors last year after he got drafted by the Seattle Mariners. So this is actually the first time he's ever gone against, professional MLB, well, not all MLB level, but in that system, right, of players. Now he's no longer playing against college players, he's playing against professional, baseball players. So, what were your thoughts on the limited things we have seen from Kate Anderson, Julian, so far?
Kate Anderson looked incredible. First, I want to start with the first inning because Kate Anderson in the first inning looked a little bit different than Kate Anderson in the second inning. Kate Anderson in the first inning struck out batters with literally three pitches. That was incredible. The
Hmm.
his his start, three pitch strikeouts. I think the single that happened, that one I count more as an error. But after that, he walks a batter. That's all right because this is his first time facing major leaguers, and once you kind of get unlucky a little bit, especially in that sense, the mental gets shaken a little bit, and so he walked a batter, which that's fine. Gets the next two out, strikes out the
Hmm.
side, just looks great. Other than the walk, he looks great. Second inning comes up, and he's not throwing first pitch strikes anymore. He's throwing first pitch ball that then gets ends up getting crushed by the next two batters for a single and a double. He gets pulled, and that was it. His first inning looked really good, but his second inning not so much. So I think that's where the potential was in the first inning, and then the lack of experience in the major leagues, especially with the new ball that he has to play with, that came out in the second inning. So that's the shift that I think Anderson needs to make. I think he looked great. I think it's just a work in progress, especially because this is his first time in the professional system.
That last at bat he had, right, in the first inning that he pitched, okay, where he struck out the batter for the third time, or the third out of the inning, was incredible. Three pitch, all outside, like on the edge of the zone, and it was a strikeout. Like that's the type of stuff that we can see from Kane Anderson with. with his level because he's not a type of guy. We talked about this before. He's not like a Paul Skeens where he's throwing like hundreds, right? Or something crazy like that, or even like a skew ball. He's a guy who has he has a great four pitch arsenal, and he has really good control that he's able to overpower these hitters in that way rather than just, oh, I can throw past you, right? Like Aroldis Chapman, he relies on his velocity, right? If he throws like when he used to throw like 105, that's the type of overpowering he's doing. Kane Anderson does a different type of overpowering. And yeah, remember, this is his first time ever pitching in this type of setting, right? So this is his true debut. And in that first inning was more than happy with what I saw. So I'm excited to see how he does going forward. He's gonna have a few more starts, at least in the spring training, and then before, the regular season starts, where he'll not sure exactly where in the minors he'll be placed, but he'll probably be placed some. He'll, I'm not exactly sure where he'll be placed, but we'll see how his progression goes. And there's a lot of exciting things we can see out of him.
And yeah, like let me list out the names that he played against: Xander Bogarts, Jackson Merrill, Nick Castellanos, Miguel Andujar, Gavin Sheets, Freddie Fermin, Jake Cronenworth. Those are the players he faced in his first major, or not major leagues, but first professional outing. He faced 7 players that are in the major leagues that a lot of people who follow major leagues hear about. These are not your average players. Nick Castellanos played really good with the Phillies. Jackson Merrill is always plays good with the Padres. And those are the names that he faced. And he struck out the side in the first inning. And so that's the that's a big accomplishment for someone like Kade Anderson. And I assume that he's going to keep going with this. The way that he played against these major leaguers, it's going to translate into the minor leagues, and then he'll come up and he'll be really good.
Yeah, and afterwards, Kate Anderson was talking about how he doesn't think this is just another. He basically doesn't even think that that was a debut. He's just saying, "Oh, that was just another game," right? So I like the confidence he has in himself. Like, "Oh, this is not a problem. I don't care who I'm against, right? I don't care I'm against these MLB level caliber players, right? He's able to do his work and he wants to do his best against no matter who he's against. So that's what I also really like to see. So it was an impressive debut for him for sure, and then we'll see how he goes going forward. But I am excited to see how he does. He was the third overall pick in the most recent draft, so he was really highly rated. He could have been drafted higher than that, honestly. So the Mariners kind of got lucky to get him, right? But yeah, this is something I'm really excited for. And we have a lot of young players to be excited for as well. Not just Kate Anderson, but Kate Anderson, one of the key names to watch because of the recent stuff that he's been doing so far. So yeah, I like to see what he does going forward.
Yeah. I'm excited to see Kade Anderson keep progressing through because we knew he was a good commander of the ball, similar to George Kirby. And he showed that. Even with the new ball, he was able to show that in his first outing. So that was incredible to me. And I'm excited to see him going forward. I want to talk about another prospect that played really good, Ryan Sloan. We're talking about prospects because these guys pitched like major leaguers as prospects in the Cactus Leagues. Ryan Sloan, he actually we're filming this right now during the game, Logan Gilbert's second game against the Texas Rangers. But Ryan Sloan played in the third inning, and we decided we just wanted to put him into the podcast today because he looked incredible against these guys. He he played in the fourth inning, the top of the fourth. Let me just read you what he did because that's going to be faster. So Kyle Higashioka gets out in 3 pitches with 99-mile-per-hour fastball. That's his average fastball is around 98 to 99. All of his fastball velocities are around 98.9. That seems to be his four seam number. Josh Smith, three pitch strikeout. A little bit of like That third pitch wasn't really a strike, and Josh Smith tapped his head, but still, it's a three-pitch strikeout. We'll take it. Ezekiel Duran comes up, 6 pitches, gets him out. Lots of fouls, but gets him to chase a slider down and away, and gets him out with a slow roller to shortstop. And so Ryan Sloan looked like a major leaguer against three major league players. Josh Smith is a player that's known for his contact ability, and he gets him out in 3 pitches. And
Mhm.
I was just impressed overall with the fastball velocity and the command that he had over pitches like the slider. It was incredible to watch him do that.
Yeah, and especially because, Ryan Sloan is actually not a guy who's gonna come up anytime soon, right? They say he might be like 2028, he might be 2027, right? But, he's not gonna be this year, right? For sure then. So, and Sloan's an interesting one to think about. He has a lot of potential, right? He hasn't been playing for that long, right? He didn't go to college, but then also another aspect is we really need to see how what these guys are doing because it could impact our future decisions, right? We have like four starters we're pretty comfortable with right now in Wu, Gilbert, Castillo, and Kirby. And Castillo's a little older, so I'm not gonna and Miller as well. I'm not gonna include Castillo in the conversation I'm about to have right now because he's a little older. But those four players, they're on cheaper deals, right? Because they're very young. We can't re-sign all of them. There's no way. We don't have money like the Dodgers. If we re-sign all of them, we have no offense. Me and you might be having to bat for the Mariners because we'd be really cheap, right? That would be the situation I think that would come up. So essentially, we would have to be picking and choosing, but we could maybe let some guys go like George Kirby if we think Sloan's got it the next few years, or like we think Kate Anderson's got it, right? So it's important to see how well these guys are playing. You might think, oh, it's not really important how well Ryan Sloan is doing. He's never going to see the field. Well, he might actually be seeing the field because we can't afford to sign all of these guys, right? If Sloan was ready now, then he might not have too much of a spot on the starting pitching staff, but he definitely could in the future. So it's very important to see how well these pitching prospects play, and we have several of them we are looking forward to. So it's gonna be, and this is one of the only times we could really see them, right, against high level competition because in the but in the minor leagues, if you're in like high A, you're against other high A players, or if you're in double A, you're against only double A players. You're never gonna go against MLB players, right? Like Xander Bogaerts, right? For Kane Anderson, that's not the type. I know he's a little older now, but that's not the type of guys you're gonna be going against, right? So these are the type of things that it's important to see and cool to watch. So I'm pretty excited about Sloan. We'll see how he progresses this year, but yeah, that was a pretty good performance he had today.
Yeah, the 92 to 94 mile per hour cutter had a lot of interest on my end as well. And then seeing the sinker that he throws, not really matching the velocity of the four seam fastball, but more so matching the velocity of the cutter. I thought that was an interesting mix to see the ball that curves both ways from the same velocity. That was interesting. All of this points to Ryan Sloan being a really good player in the future, and I'm excited to see his progression. I think that Ryan Sloan really does have it in the next few years.
Yeah, and another I like what you mentioned there about like the important thing is it's not to just throw great pitches, it's to throw pitches that look the same, right? If I have a ball going this way, I'm not sure if it's curving left or right. How as a hitter, that's what I'm screwed, right? It's very hard to hit that, right? So there's a reason why I can't ever do that, but these players who these professional players who are a lot better than me, if the pitches look a lot different than each other, they're going to be able to spot, oh, I can think, oh, this is the sinker or oh, this is the curveball, right? But if you have them going same way and it's splitting, it's like, oh my God, I don't know what's happening. Is it going left or right? I can't tell, right? So that's a very important thing. So I like seeing that from Sloan as well.
Question for you, Alex. Can you even throw 60 miles an hour or 70
Look, I,
miles an
I,
hour?
I, look, I don't know. No one's ever put me on the radar gun, so maybe it's for, I don't know. Maybe I don't throw hard enough for the radar gun to even detect it. But,
Because
but
I don't know if I can throw 60 miles an hour like
I
that.
probably can't. I mean, I think in like the little league level, what's the fastest they throw? I think
Like
if you throw
50?
60 in the major in the little league level, you're like, oh, you're an MLB player.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, we're adults now, but I just genuinely don't. Yeah, it's tough to say. Probably not. I'm just
Like
gonna guess not.
put me in like the little leagues. I'm probably not striking a single batter out, let alone getting anybody out. Like
Yeah, maybe you'll be a good.
bench
Maybe you'll be
warmer.
a good first baseman. You have a lot of range. You're a lot taller than the little kid, so you can you can be able to. I don't know. Maybe good on defense. Who
Yeah.
knows? Like, we're at the point where we're comparing ourselves to little league players. That's not saying a lot of good things about us.
Yeah, I can us two we can be like D1 bench warmers. That's the route I think we take. But let us know how fast do you throw? And do you think you can strike out little leaguers?
Like
Also,
especially like let's say the Little League champions, like the Little League champions, who I'm not sure who won it this year, but let's say those guys, the best players in that, in that age group. Let's see
yeah.
if you can do anything towards them.
Also, let us know about who you think is an up and coming star because I I think Cole Young's doing pretty good too. So I'd love to know your opinions on how all of these guys are progressing through spring training and your predictions as to how the Mariners will do throughout this season. You have anything to add, Alex?
Nope. More spring training coming up. WBC starting soon, so we'll be able to see what I guess Cal, Julio, and all those guys are going to be able to do. But yeah, pretty excited.
Yep, go Team Japan. Let's get it. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and our beautiful faces on YouTube. Check out our Instagram. And as always, go Mariners.
Go Mariners.